His wife turned out to be someone he could never have imagined. The revelation came not through whispered gossip or an anonymous email, but through lines of code on my computer screen, code that would shatter my world into 1,000 irreparable pieces. The numbers shouldn't have been there. 4,721 viewers and climbing. My heart stopped as I stared at the counter, coffee cup frozen halfway to my lips. This was supposed to be a closed-circuit test of a new security system for Goldman & Pierce, one of the largest investment firms in the country. Instead, my private test stream had somehow gone public, broadcasting live to thousands of strangers. I remember every detail of that moment with crystal clarity. The soft hum of my computer fans, the autumn rain tapping against my home office window, the way my wedding ring caught the light as my hand trembled over the mouse. Even the timestamp burned into my memory. 2:47 p.m., Tuesday. A time that now divides my life into before and after. That's when I heard it, laughter floating through my headphones. Rich, familiar laughter that made my skin crawl. Marina's laughter. My wife of 12 years, who was supposed to be giving a marketing presentation in Philadelphia, was somehow in our living room. The sound carried that special lightness she had when she was truly happy, a tone I hadn't heard directed at me in months. "You're impossible," she said to someone, her voice carrying that playful lilt that used to be reserved for our private moments. The viewing counter ticked up. 5,103, 5,104, 5,105. A male voice responded, smooth and confident. "That's why you can't resist me." The voice of Andrei Kovacs, my mentor, my boss, the man who had given the toast at our 10th anniversary party just 6 months ago. The man who had helped me build my entire career in cybersecurity. The chat window exploded. "Wait, isn't this? Someone record this. Does he know? OMG, it's really them." My finger hovered over the disconnect button, trembling. One click and I could stop this, protect what was left of my dignity, pretend I never saw what was about to unfold. But something deeper, something primal, kept me frozen. In that moment, I felt like I was watching a train wreck in slow motion, horrified, but unable to look away. The camera angle showed just the edge of our leather sofa, the one Marina had insisted we buy last spring. "It'll be the centerpiece of our future," she had said. The memory twisted in my gut like a knife. Messages kept flooding the chat. "Who's recording? Is this real? Someone get his attention." I should have ended the stream. Should have walked away. Should have done anything except what I did next. I reached for my phone and opened our home security app. With shaking fingers, I entered the command to activate every camera in the house. If my life was about to implode, I needed to see exactly how deep this betrayal went. The viewer count hit 6,000 as I pulled up the additional feeds. In that moment, I wasn't just an IT security specialist anymore. I had become an unwitting director of my own personal tragedy, about to broadcast the destruction of my marriage to thousands of strangers who couldn't look away. The security feeds loaded one by one, each new angle revealing another piece of my collapsing world. The living room camera showed Marina perched on the arm of our sofa, one heel dangling off her foot, her presentation clothes still pristine despite supposedly being in Philadelphia. Andrei stood behind her, his suit jacket draped casually over our antique reading chair, the one his wife Sarah had helped us pick out at an estate sale last summer. My training in security systems had taught me to notice details. Now, each detail felt like another shard of glass in my heart. Marina's favorite pearl necklace, my anniversary gift to her, catching the afternoon light. The bottle of 1982 Bordeaux on the coffee table, the one I'd been saving for our upcoming wedding anniversary. Andrei's hand resting on her shoulder with the casual intimacy of long practice. The chat window continued its relentless scroll. "Someone tag his wife. This can't be real. Wait, isn't that Andrei Kovacs? The Andrei Kovacs. At Marina Carter, your stream is public." I watched as Marina laughed at something Andrei said, throwing her head back in that way that used to make my heart skip. Now it made my stomach turn. She reached up to adjust his tie, the blue silk one I'd admired in a meeting last week. "You really should let me buy your ties." she said, her fingers lingering longer than necessary. I've had years of practice. The viewer count hit 7,500 as Andri's hand moved to cup her face. You've had practice at a lot of things, he murmured, and then he kissed her. Not a first kiss, not a hesitant kiss, but the kind of kiss that spoke of months, maybe years of familiarity. My coffee mug slipped from my numb fingers, shattering on my office floor. I barely noticed the hot liquid soaking into my socks. On screen, they didn't hear anything, lost in their own world, my world, that they had invaded and corrupted. The chat exploded. Holy shit. Is that his wife? Someone's recording this, right? At Andrei Kovacs, your career is over. But it was a different notification that caught my eye, a calendar alert popping up in the corner of my screen. Dinner at Sarah and Andrei's, 7 p.m. Sarah, Andrei's wife of 20 years. The woman who had helped Marina plan our anniversary party last month. Who had confided in me just last week about planning Andrei's surprise 50th birthday celebration. My hands moved before my mind could catch up. I pulled up our company's internal messaging system, where a thread from Sarah sat unread. Hey, quick question about Andrei's birthday dinner. Timestamp, 2:15 p.m. Just 30 minutes before I discovered my wife and her husband. The chat continued scrolling, but now viewers were tagging Sarah. At Sarah Kovacs, you need to see this. Someone send this to his wife. This is going to HR for sure. I reached for my phone again, but not to call Marina or Andrei. Not yet. Instead, I opened my banking app and began taking screenshots of every suspicious transaction from our joint account over the past year. Every unexplained charge at hotels I'd never visited, restaurants I'd never eaten at. I'd always trusted Marina with the finances. It was her career, after all. Now I wondered how many of those client dinners had been with my mentor, my friend, my betrayer. The viewer count passed 10,000 as I opened my email and began forwarding everything to my personal account. Every loving message from Marina about working late, every casual invitation from Andrei for drinks after work, every photo from company events where they stood just a little too close. The evidence had been there all along, hidden in plain sight. On screen, they were still talking, planning, laughing, unaware that their secret world was crumbling in front of thousands of witnesses. Marina checked her phone and frowned. The network's being weird, she said. My notifications are blowing up. Andrei kissed her neck, and I watched my wife melt into the arms of my mentor. Ignore it, he said. We have time. No, I thought, saving another batch of emails. You don't have as much time as you think. The next 3 hours were a masterclass in composure. While Marina's betrayal played out on my screens, I made phone calls. Casual, friendly calls. Hey, John and Lisa, are you free tonight? I've got that 82 Bordeaux I've been promising to share. To Marina's parents, would you mind coming over? I've got something special to show you. To our neighbors, the Andersons, who had become like second parents to us. Remember those home security upgrades I was telling you about? I'd love your opinion on the final setup. Each call felt like swallowing glass, but I kept my voice steady. Marina's mother was especially excited. Oh, sweetheart. It's so nice of you to arrange a surprise gathering. If she only knew. I watched through our security cameras as Marina left at 5:30, straightening her clothes, checking her lipstick in the hallway mirror. Andrei had slipped out earlier, both of them clearly practiced in their exit strategy. I noticed how she adjusted the throw pillows on the sofa, erasing evidence of their afternoon together. The same careful attention to detail she'd always praised in my work. By 7 p.m., our living room was full of the people who had witnessed our life together. Marina's parents sat on the same sofa where, hours earlier, their daughter had betrayed everything we'd built. John and Lisa, our friends from college who had been at our wedding, perched on the armchairs. The Andersons brought their famous apple pie, the scent of cinnamon mixing with the tension I was barely containing. Where's Marina? Her mother asked, smiling. Is this a surprise for her? I managed to smile. You could say that. I moved to the entertainment center, where I'd already connected my phone to the TV. The same system I'd installed to watch movies together as a family was about to broadcast the destruction of that family. "I've been working on a special project," I said, my voice surprisingly steady. "A new security system that captures important moments." My fingers hovered over the play button. On the screen, the video timeline showed a thumbnail of our living room, empty except for the afternoon sun streaming through the windows. Lisa raised her wine glass. "Always the tech genius. Remember when you rigged that elaborate proposal setup for Marina?" I did remember. I'd programmed our smart home system to play our song, dim the lights, and display "Will You Marry Me?" on every screen in the house. Marina had called me her romantic nerd. Now those same screens would expose her lies. The doorbell rang right on schedule. That would be the Kovacs. Sarah had texted earlier, apologizing that Andriy would be late. "Stuck at the office," she'd said. Another lie in a web of lies. "I'll get it," I said. But before I could move, the front door opened. Marina's key in the lock, her heels on the hardwood floor. The sound of her coming home, a sound that used to bring me joy. I pressed play. The screen flickered to life, showing our living room from 3 hours ago. Marina's laughter filled the surround sound speakers. The same expensive system where we used to watch movies together as a family. Now it would play a very different kind of show. "Is that today?" Marina's mother squinted at the screen. "That outfit." The timestamp in the corner answered her question. 2:47 p.m., Tuesday. The exact moment my world had started to unravel. And then Marina walked into the room, her smile freezing as she saw our gathered friends and family, as she saw the TV screen, as she saw herself from just hours ago, in our living room with Andriy. The door opened again behind her. Marina's entrance shattered the anticipatory silence. Her heels clicked against the hardwood, confident steps that faltered when she saw our gathered loved ones. The Chanel purse I'd given her for Christmas slipped from her shoulder, spilling its contents. Lipstick, phone, and a hotel key card that skittered across the floor to rest at her mother's feet. The screen flickered with Marina's afternoon indiscretion, her recorded laughter filling our living room through the same speakers where we'd played our wedding song last anniversary. Her face drained of color so quickly that Mrs. Anderson half rose, her maternal instincts warring with her dawning comprehension. "What is?" Marina's voice cracked as she saw herself on screen, draped over our sofa with Andriy. "This isn't. I can explain." "Explain." Her father's voice cut through the room like Arctic wind. Judge Richard Carter, who had presided over hundreds of divorces, was now watching his daughter's marriage implode in his presence. "Explain how you're in our living room when you told us you were in Philadelphia." Marina's mother bent down, picking up the hotel key card with trembling fingers. "The Grand Meridian?" She turned it over, realization dawning. "Isn't that where you said you had your marketing conferences?" On screen, Marina's voice played crystal clear through the surround sound. "Sarah's so naive. She actually thinks he's working late every Tuesday." The door opened again. Sarah Kovacs stood frozen in the doorway, a plate of her signature chocolate chip cookies tilted precariously in her hands. The same cookies she'd brought to our housewarmings, our Christmas parties, our anniversary celebrations. "Naive." Sarah's voice was barely a whisper. The plate slipped, cookies scattering across the floor like broken promises. "Naive enough to bake cookies for my husband's late meetings." Marina stumbled backward, colliding with the family photo wall. Pictures rattled our wedding, our vacations, dinner parties with the Kovacs family. "Sarah, please, you don't understand." "Oh, I understand perfectly." Sarah pulled out her phone, her lawyer's instincts taking over. "Andriy, yes, you need to come to David and Marina's. Now." "No, it can't wait." Her voice hardened. "Unless you'd prefer I send you the video?" "Video?" Marina's head snapped toward me. "What video? David, what have you done?" I held up my phone, showing the live viewer count, 15,742. "I didn't do anything, Marina. You did this. I just provided an audience." On screen, the Marina from 4 hours ago was laughing. "David's so obsessed with his security systems. He never once thought to check his own home. The real Marina's face crumpled. Turn it off. Please, just turn it off. Like you turned off your wedding ring? Mrs. Anderson's voice was quiet but cutting. She pointed to the screen, where Marina's left hand was conspicuously bare. I wondered why you stopped wearing it during your gardening lessons. Marina's father stepped forward, his judicial demeanor cracking. I walked you down the aisle, he said, each word heavy with disappointment. I put your hand in David's. I vouched for you. Daddy, please. Marina reached for him, but he stepped back. How much? Sarah's voice sliced through Marina's plea. How much did the hotels cost? The gifts? The business trips? She turned to me. Show me everything. I pulled up the spreadsheet I'd prepared, every charge, every receipt, every lie quantified in neat columns. 3 years, I said, handing Sarah my tablet. It goes back 3 years. Marina's mother sank onto the sofa, her hand pressed to her mouth. On screen, her daughter was wrapping her arms around my mentor, my friend, her voice sultry. Remember when you said we should run away together? Run away. Sarah's laugh was bitter. With what money? The money you spent on hotels? Or the money you spent on that necklace? She gestured to the screen, where Marina was wearing the sapphire pendant Andrei had supposedly bought on a business trip to Dubai. The doorbell rang. Marina froze, her eyes wide with terror. Through the security camera feed on my phone, I could see Andrei on our front step, straightening his tie, the same blue silk tie from the afternoon video still playing behind us. Perfect timing, I said, pressing the button to let him in. Just in time for the best part. Marina lunged for the TV controls, but her father caught her arm. No more running, Marina. No more lies. You don't understand, she pleaded, looking around the room desperately. None of you understand. It wasn't supposed to be like this. No, Sarah said, her voice ice cold as Andrei's footsteps approached. It was supposed to stay your dirty little secret, while I planned your anniversary parties, while I helped your mother organize your birthday celebrations, while David worked 60-hour weeks to give you everything you wanted. The living room door opened. Andrei stepped in, his confident smile faltering as he took in the scene. His wife holding a tablet full of evidence, his lover's parents witnessing their daughter's disgrace, and on the screen, well, I said, pausing the video on a frame of him kissing my wife, I believe you were just about to explain how much you love my home security system. Marina stepped toward me, her designer heels crunching on the scattered cookies, mascara beginning to streak down her carefully made-up face. Behind her, Andrei remained frozen in the doorway, his confident facade crumbling as Sarah silently scrolled through years of credit card statements on my tablet. David, Marina whispered, reaching for my hands with the same fingers that had been caressing my mentor hours earlier. Baby, please, we can fix this. It was a mistake. A terrible, horrible mistake. Her voice cracked on the word mistake, the same way it used to crack when she told me she loved me. On the screen behind her, evidence suggested otherwise. The timestamp showed a different afternoon, a different betrayal. Marina and Andrei in our kitchen, his hands on her waist as she poured wine into the crystal glasses we'd received as wedding gifts. I've never felt this way about anyone, recorded Marina was saying. Not even. I reached into my pocket, feeling the thick paper of the airline tickets I'd purchased just last week. Do you remember? I said, my voice steady despite the tremor in my hands. That night in bed when you told me about your dream trip to Bali? The villa overlooking the rice terraces, the private pool, the sunset dinners. Her eyes widened with hope. The same hope I'd seen when I'd asked her to marry me 12 years ago. Yes, she breathed. Yes, I remember everything. So do I. I pulled out the envelope, watching her hands reach for it instinctively. I remember how you said it would be the perfect place to reconnect, to start fresh. I remember thinking, this is how I'll show her that our love is worth more than late nights at the office or business trips. Marina's mother let out a small sob from the sofa. Her father's judicial posture had crumpled into something more human, more wounded. The Andersons, who had helped me research Bali resorts, wouldn't meet my eyes. I bought them 3 months ago, I continued, opening the envelope with deliberate slowness. The private villa, the ocean view, the sunset cruise you always talked about. I had it all planned, down to the exact moment I'd surprise you. Tears spilled down Marina's cheeks, smearing her expensive mascara. David! But that's not the interesting part. I turned to Sarah, who looked up from the tablet. The interesting part is the dates. Show them the hotel receipt from last month. Sarah. The one from the Grand Meridian. Sarah's hands shook as she pulled up the document. March 15th, she read aloud.
Suite 1407.
Paid for by Andriy Kovacs. The same dates as our Bali trip, I said softly. You were planning your own little getaway, weren't you? While I was booking our dream vacation, you were planning to be in a hotel suite with my mentor. Andriy finally found his voice. Marina, don't dash. Don't what? I cut him off. Don't tell everyone how you were planning to call in sick the week of our Bali trip? Don't show them the text messages about your special surprise for her. I pulled up another document on the TV screen, replacing the damning video with a series of text messages. Marina's knees buckled as she read them, forcing her to grab the back of the sofa for support. Can't wait for our own paradise, I read aloud. David will be too busy with the Singapore merger to notice I'm not really in Philadelphia. The envelope crackled in my tightening grip. I planned everything, the private candlelit dinners, the couple's massages, the renewal of vows ceremony on the beach at sunset. I even contacted that little jewelry shop you loved in Ubud to have your grandmother's ring resized as a surprise. Marina reached for me again, desperation etched into every line of her face. We can still go. We can fix this. Make new memories, Dash. No, I said quietly, pulling the tickets from the envelope. We can't. With deliberate precision, I tore the tickets in half. The sound seemed to echo in the terrible silence of our living room. Because these aren't for us anymore. I looked directly at Andriy as I let the pieces flutter to the floor. They're for Sarah now. Sarah and whomever she chooses to take with her, while you're dealing with the board of directors about your inappropriate relationship with a subordinate's wife. I reached into my jacket one last time and withdrew another envelope, cream-colored, like our wedding invitations had been. Marina's hands were still frozen in mid-reach for the torn Bali tickets when I placed it on our coffee table, next to the family photos we'd taken last Christmas. You know what the funny thing is? My voice was steady now, almost gentle. I actually have to thank you, Marina. You taught me something valuable about security systems. I glanced at Andriy, who had the look of a man watching his career dissolve in real time. They're only as good as the people you trust with the passwords. Sarah stepped forward, still holding my tablet with its damning evidence. The board meeting is tomorrow morning at 9, she said, her lawyer's precision cutting through the tension. I expect both of you to be there. She turned to me. I'll need copies of everything. Already sent to your private email, I replied, along with the name of my divorce attorney. She's excellent, handled 3 similar cases involving corporate executives last year. All settled very quietly. Marina's fingers trembled as she opened the envelope, divorce papers sliding out onto the table where we'd shared family dinners for 12 years. Her mother's quiet sobs had stopped, replaced by a silence heavy with judgment. Her father, the judge, studied the papers with professional detachment, though his hands were white-knuckled on his cane. David, Marina whispered, everything we built is in those papers. I finished for her. The house, the accounts, the evidence. It's all there. Sign them and this video stays private. Fight me. I gestured to the screen, where the viewer count had topped 20,000, and the whole world gets to watch how you destroyed our marriage. Mrs. Anderson stepped forward, placing her hand on my shoulder. David, honey, if you need anything. I covered her hand with mine, remembering all the Sunday dinners she'd hosted while Marina was supposedly at marketing conferences. I know. Thank you. The sound of a pen clicking echoed in the silence. Sarah had pulled out her Mont Blanc, an anniversary gift from Andriy, and held it out to her husband. "You first," she said coldly. "Unless you'd prefer to explain to the board how you spent company money on hotel rooms with a subordinate's wife?" I turned toward the door, pausing only to pick up my laptop. Everything important was already packed in my car: family photos, important documents, the evidence of 3 years of betrayal backed up in triplicate. The rest was just furniture and memories. "The passwords are all changed," I said to the room at large. "To everything. The house, the accounts, the security system." I met Marina's tear-stained gaze one last time. "You'll have to find someone else to handle your technical support from now on." As I walked out, I heard Marina's father say quietly, "Sign the papers, Marina. You've performed enough for an audience today." I closed the door on my old life, on the sound of pens scratching paper, on the soft crying of a woman who had thought she was smarter than everyone else. In my pocket, my phone buzzed with a new message: Sarah's law firm, confirming our appointment for tomorrow. The night air was cool on my face as I walked to my car, where a new life waited in packed boxes and forwarded mail. Sometimes the best security system isn't the one that keeps people out. It's the one that shows you exactly who they are. Write your opinion in the comments if you would have done this. It's really important to me. Don't forget to like the story so we know you like it, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss our new videos. And the next story will be even more interesting. There's a twist that will definitely surprise you. So turn on your notifications and stay tuned. See you in the next story.